I took piano lessons and I hated practicing. It was much more fun for me to write my own music. I really loved movies, I loved playing piano, I loved classical music, I loved soundtracks, I loved writing music on the computer. You know, the job of film composer encapsulated all those things, and you know, it was very easy for me to make that decision to become a film composer.
So shut your mouth, Tyler. All right, very funny.
Well, I'm a pianist, so I work out most of my music at the piano. I'll sketch ideas and then come up with the best one, or however the theme requires. Because once it works on piano, generally it'll work for an orchestra as well. I mean, Locke Key is kind of a sprawling structure of a show. There's so many characters and genres and scenarios that happen that I wanted the music to clarify different character arcs and keep the structure of the show together. And I really looked at the narrative to see which characters would be important. I didn't want to just do themes for every single character, because A, there's too many, and B, they don't all have important story arcs that the music needs to support. I needed to clarify that structure with what I wanted to do. As an architect, you can't just add a room without support underneath. And so the score, it needed to have a reason for the characters to have music. And the second thing I wanted to do was hide all these little musical keys hidden throughout the score. Even in the first cue of the show, right after the main titles, which the audience has now heard the main theme, the first notes of the score are the main theme again, but this time it's in the cello and the bass, so it's really low, it's really long. You wouldn't really notice it, but it's kind of hidden there, and it makes sense for the scene. And by the end of it, when the house goes up in flames, there's a big dramatic version of the theme. So sometimes I wanted the key theme to be, you know, overt like that, and sometimes I wanted it to be hidden for the audience to kind of see. And just like the Locke family are walking around this house, they don't even realize how close to these keys they are. That's kind of how I wanted it to be with the score, which as a composer is really fun to do, to hide all these little clever things. If an audience member is watching the show for a second time, they can start to pick up on these little things that I've hidden in the music. Because the show is so sprawling, I wanted to make sure the main titles captured one feeling specifically, and what I was going for was the feeling of exploring a magical house like this for the first time. There's so many genres in the show. There's horror, there's fantasy, there's drama. I didn't want to get too carried away with trying to do everything at once, so I wanted the main titles to really focus on what it would be like to explore a really amazing place like this. This is my childhood dream, to be able to write music like this. It's really the emotional depth that the music adds to scenes that really keeps me in love with writing music, because as a musician, you want to be able to express all these different types of emotions. And you know, with a show like this, because it runs the gamut, I felt very fulfilled as a composer to be able to express all these different things, from you know, these quiet, emotional and personal moments to full-on adventure. And having that range in a show is really a treat, being a composer, because with something like this you can kind of do it all.